most people, an owl flying around delivering your mail while you're eating, no big deal. But for me, I'm like, let me.
How did these little kids learn about the unbreakable vow?
Welcome back, witches, wizards, and muggles. We are Squibs Corner, and I am Jeremiah.
And I'm Andrew.
Oh, that's right. Today we have Chapter 7. No, we don't. Today we have Chapter 8.
That doesn't feel right.
No, I was just seeing if everybody was paying attention.
You just love, like JK, you're just a big 7 fan. The 7.
Exactly, yes. 7, exactly. So
Yes.
we're doing Chapter 8. I wish we were doing Chapter 7 again for the third time. That'd be great. Chapter 8, The Potions Master, and we're going to go right into the 7-word summary. You know what? I think we're getting pretty good at remembering.
I think we're getting good, yeah.
So my 7-word summary for this chapter, I'll let you, the listeners, decide if this is a true 7-word summary or not. Snape loves to give Harry weird looks.
Sure. Accurate.
Like yeah.
Accurate.
Yeah.
My 7-word summary is it's a bit stagnated. First week confusion. Snape. Our plot deepens.
I think it's more than 7 words.
First week confusion. Snape. Our plot deepens.
No, you got it. Okay.
Come at me, bro.
We both have Snape in our 7-word summary. So
I packed a lot in there.
Yeah, that's
well, you can't not have Snape in there. The chapter is the Potions Master.
No, it's great. See, our 7-word summaries don't always have to form a I guess you would say a potent sentence.
Sure.
It could be 7 random words.
No, for
it
sure.
doesn't matter.
Sure.
So, like always, we start off with the first paragraph. But first, I hope you guys enjoyed our, getting to know your co-host. Are you guys surprised about what houses we are in? I want to know what houses all of our listeners are in. So write into us, squibscorner@gmail.com. Or message us on Instagram. Leave us a voice note, and we'll try to get you on the next episode. Oh, that'd be great. And hearing what house
that'd be a lot of fun.
in.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Oh, I would love that. So last chapter, the sorting hat, everybody got sorted into their houses. We found out there's 4 houses: Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, and Slytherin. And there was no harmful test. There was no painful test to get into the houses. You simply put a hat on your head.
No magic, no spells, no quizzes, nothing. Just sit there, put the hat on.
Yes, but now we need to get introduced to the school a little bit more, introduced to some classes, to some teachers, a certain one in particular. But I'm going to get my special guest over here. Noah, are you ready to read? So you're going to read the part that says Jeremiah, and then he's going to read, and then you, and then him, and then you, and then this is your paragraph.
There, look.
Where?
Next to the tall kid and the red hair.
Did you see his face?
Did you see his scar? Whispers followed Harry from the moment he left his dormitory. The next day, people lining up outside the classroom stood on tiptoe, getting looked at him or darted back to pass him the quarters. Again, staring, Harry wished they wouldn't, because he was trying to concentrate on finding his way to class.
All right, there we go. We got it.
There we go.
All right, we got it. We got it.
We got it.
We didn't practice, so. So, in case nobody could understand that, he will get better. So, I think we'll give ourselves a go at this as well. There, look,
Where?
next to the tall kid with the red hair.
Did you see his face?
Did you see his scar? Whispers followed Harry from the moment he left his dormitory the next day. People lining up outside classrooms stood on tiptoe to get a look at him, or doubled back to pass him in the corridors again, staring. Harry wished they wouldn't, because he was trying to concentrate on finding his way to his classes. That would be really annoying. I'm not going to lie. I'm just trying to get to my classes and everybody's looking at me. Although, maybe it wouldn't be too annoying. I guess it depends on the person. Some people might really like it. They might really enjoy people looking at him, looking at his scar.
Oh, yeah. If it was Draco would be
yes.
all about the attention. All
yes,
about
he
it.
would.
Yeah.
But I can see
Not
a shy
Harry.
person, especially like Harry, that he
Yeah.
doesn't know anything. So it's really good
Yeah.
to kind of write this. Again, the relatability. I'm just trying to find my classes, man. You guys, can you just leave me alone so I can go about my day?
All right. So the book goes into, like we said in my 7-word summary, we've got the first week. These are the first classes. So it's described that Hogwarts has 142 staircases, not stairs, but staircases. And the frustrating part about it is that some of them move. Some of them are there. Some of them are not there. As we learn later, I don't remember if it says it in this chapter, but some of them even have trick stairs.
Yeah, it does.
So there's even trick stairs.
How difficult would that be? You're just trying, again, you're trying to get to your classes. You got people staring at you. You got people whispering about you. And now the stairs are moving and some of them disappear.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Talk about magic. Talk about
and
magic right here.
There were ghosts. There were just
You
scary
got ghosts, you got portraits.
We talked about, you got the portraits. Nearly Headless Nick was always nice. He was trying to help out the houses, such as Gryffindor, get in the right direction. But then we've got Peeves again. Peeves the poltergeist, and he'll put waste paper baskets on your head. He'll do all sorts of things to try to trip up the first years and probably anybody, but you have to be careful around Peeves. We know that. He's the practical joker. He's always loud. He's always obnoxious. And then you had the caretaker, who was mentioned in the previous chapter by Dumbledore. Now we get to meet him a couple times. You've got Argus Filch, who loves to follow kids around. And he's got his trusty sidekick, his cat, Mrs. Norris, who...
Mrs. Norris.
Who we find out that, at the end of the chapter, Hagrid's not a big fan of either one of them.
I don't think anybody's a fan of Filch or Mrs. Norris. I would imagine even cat lovers are pretty annoyed about Mrs. Norris.
Yeah.
Especially
he's always
the connection with Filch. So
yeah, they're always lurking, and such another wonderful casting.
Yes. Oh,
man. Like he nailed it.
When he runs in
so good.
in the last movie and he's children out of bed, children in the corridors. They're supposed to be out of bed, you blithering idiot.
Yeah. Yeah.
He does not. Does he have a face only a mother could love? I think
sounds
so.
Sounds about right.
Oh,
and
terrible.
And as hard as Harry and Ron tried to stay out of Filch's way, they get caught first week. They're trying to get through a locked door, and it just so happened to be the locked door on the 3rd floor in the corridor that is off limits. And
this is a running theme with the trio. Being in places they're not supposed to be.
Yeah. I think this is one of the...
on purpose. Not on purpose.
Well, part of my suspicions is that, one of my theories is that he's always following Harry around because he's always following Ron around. And he's always following Ron around because he's always following the twins around. So that's... He knows Fred and George. So that was kind of my, just throwaway theories of why he's always with them. But yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I get to it right here. So it's a nice thing to write to, like you were just saying. Filch always seemed to be where trouble was, even if he was just at the other side of the castle. It's described that he was able to get around the castle so fast because he was one of the only people that knew all about the secret passageways, except for the Weasley twins. Because I got to tell you, these guys, they pop up so much. They're jokesters, they're troublemakers, and they're smart. They're one of the smartest people in this book. And it's not something you would expect out of them. I didn't
Well,
expect.
we learn in year 3 why they know the castle so well.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But I mean, not only that, like what they go on to do as a career,
Yeah.
you have to be very smart to do what
Yep.
they do.
Yep.
So I love it. I love it. So apart from all of that going on, Harry learned that there is a lot more to magic than just going and buying a wand and learning some spells and waving your wand around.
Yes.
Because, I mean, what would be the
That
point
would be
of
so
school?
frustrating.
Yeah. I mean,
uh,
you got a wand and you want to do magic. Nope. You have to learn the movements. You have to learn the spells. Anybody could just wave a wand and do something, but you don't know what it's going to do. You can hurt somebody. You can hurt yourself depending on where you store your wand.
mm-hmm.
And we get into that later.
You know what kind of frustrated me, not frustrated me, in the series, they mention it here, you're about to talk about, herbology. One of the things that it says is every Wednesday night at midnight, they have to track the stars. They do astronomy, and in different years, there's, they talk about astronomy, and then they're taking an astronomy OWL one year, but it never really goes into in the book why, as witches and wizards, they're concerned about the movements of the planets. I know it's kind of like a mystical thing, to know astronomy, but I always want, it's like, I don't know, a lot of people have watched. Did you ever watch Avatar: The Last Airbender?
No.
Amazing.
Amazing. Late. I don't watch it on the TV, honestly.
Watch it, please.
I've seen
everybody listening to this. You comment if you've watched Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's probably the greatest animated series, one of the greatest animated series.
All right.
But spoiler alert: there are firebenders in the story, and their powers increase when a particular comet comes by because it creates more heat. So if it would have been like, if Mercury's doing this because we meet centaurs later on, then it's like, well, are their powers amplified? Is transfiguration easier? Is our defensive spell? It would have been cool because we know they study it quite a bit, but it really doesn't give us a reason why. Everything else would get a reason why.
When we get there, we will know exactly why they have to study astrology, because we will do our due diligence and we will learn why, and we will let everybody know.
I'm so excited.
Yes, that's why we're all here. So there was also a class with a teacher described as a little dumpy witch called Professor Sprout. This was herbology. And there was history of magic, which was taught by a ghost, Professor Binns. And I love this for the book. It's amazing.
Is he in the movies?
I'm not sure if he is. It's not explained who he is. I want to say he's not.
I don't think he's in the movie.
I'm disappointed because he's written so well in the book.
Yes.
So it's explained in the book that Professor Binns died one day and then came back the next day to teach, as if nothing happened.
He just got up and left his body.
Yeah, and from what I can understand from Professor Binns is he is the teacher that will teach you directly from the book. He won't tie in any experiences. He won't try to put a twist on it and make it fun. 100% from the book. I had one teacher in college do that. It was a health class. Once I found out she was doing that, I quit going to the classes and I came back to take the test and I passed it with like a high B because,
it's from the
I
book.
missed the in class assignments. But I went to the library during that class and I sat down and I studied for that class. So while I wasn't going to the class, I was still studying for it at that time. And I got to tell you how boring that is to have a professor read directly from the book. What's the point of going to the class? I can sit down and read a book, which is exactly what I did. Oh, and that's kind of what Professor Benz does. I don't think at this point he had been asked anything. So later on, he starts. People start asking questions, and he starts getting a little angry about it. But anyway,
next year he gets some good questions.
Yes. So we also have Charms class with Professor Flitwick, who is described as being so short he had to stand on a stack of books in order to teach the class properly. So,
yeah, I love it. When he read Harry's name, he squeaks and falls off. It's like, oh my gosh!
I love that he's described like he has to stand on a stack of books. Not that he's just short. She could have just said, "Oh, he was really short." He's 2'3" or something. But the fact that he had to stand on books of all things, not like a special thing that was made for him.
Exactly.
Which it brings a little comedy to it because, again, he's a wizard. So much more he can do than stand on books. Oh. And believe it or not, Professor McGonagall was actually a teacher. Her class was called Transfiguration, and we've talked about that briefly. We also have Professor Quirrell, if you remember him. We met him at the pub before they entered Diagon Alley. Professor Quirrell's classroom was described as smelling of garlic. He also wore a turban on his head that apparently had been given to him by some African prince, and it smelled awful. And people just assumed it was because of the garlic, or maybe he, wasn't very hygienic.
Yeah.
But we find out exactly why a little bit later. If you remember us talking about how Harry and Ron had met in Chapter 6, The Journey to Platform 9 3/4, you will also remember that Harry told Ron he was probably going to be the worst in the class, and we've touched on this multiple times. Harry found out he wasn't the only person that didn't know that he was a witch or wizard, and he wasn't as far behind as other students as he imagined. So, I'm pretty sure we've talked about it. Not everybody at that school knew that they were a witch or a wizard, and not everybody that is a first year knows any magic. So Harry is not alone.
Yeah, it sounds like there were quite a few people.
Oh yeah. Well, I understand how you would feel. Yeah. I mean, you just, here's your letter. You're a wizard, by the way. You're going to go to this magical school. Oh, I must be the only one that doesn't know about this. I could see it.
Oh yeah.
Again, the relatability. It's just, it's great. She did so great.
Yeah, and what's neat is that he even says that even Ron really didn't have any competitive advantage in the classes from being raised in a wizard household. So they're all pretty much, on the same, on the same page.
You got to think, what kind of magic did Ron learn? So most of it he probably learned from the twins, and most of the stuff he learned probably was stuff that was useless or didn't even work. They were just trying to rile him up.
Yeah, we saw him do at least one spell on the train.
Yeah.
Trying to turn Scabbers yellow. Yes. And even Hermione was like, I'm Muggle-born. Are you sure that's a real spell?
Yeah. I would assume Ron knows some spells from his parents, but I would also assume he considers those spells useless, as they are probably mature and proper, useful, quote unquote, useful spells for adults, not for kids. So,
I feel like, and it's so dumb the amount of random conversations I've had with people over the years about Harry Potter, but I feel like parents um would only be allowed to do nonverbal spells at home if they have children to
Yeah.
prevent the kids from
Wow.
ever picking up a wand
Yeah.
and mimicking their parents. Um, and again,
Yeah.
I've never heard that from J.K. Rowling, nothing like that. But
That
in
makes
my
sense.
head, yeah, it makes sense.
Yes.
If you get a 4-year-old that picks up a wand, and I've heard my mom say,
Yeah.
something and get it wrong, then it could be. So I imagine the parents of wizards and witches do have to do nonverbal spells at home. Like
Well,
it's
especially if you're having a conversation for whatever reason about the three unforgivable curses. You don't want someone to pick up a wand and say one of those
right.
words, not knowing
Yeah.
what they mean. So, but then
Yeah.
again, it probably wouldn't work because you really have to mean it. So they don't know what it
Yeah.
is. It's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
Which I wonder if that goes for all spells. We're going to have to look into that. I would imagine it
Well, we
doesn't.
know that um Fred and George, when Ron was small, turned his teddy bear into a spider. We know that Fred and George tried to make Ron do an unbreakable vow when they were
Oh
little.
yeah.
It's like how did these little kids learn
Yes.
about the unbreakable vow?
You know one thing I'm
So
actually going to do. I'm going like despite where we're at during this podcast, I want to sit down and start actively rereading all the books, not listening to them, but rereading. Like I said, there's a difference between listening and reading. So I think I need to reread the books and
get the
get my mind
Bloomsbury.
fresh. Yeah.
Get the Bloomsbury editions. They're fun to read.
Well, I have. Which edition do I have? I have like a box set right here. I'm sure it's the U.S. edition though.
Yeah, usually it's Scholastic if it was
Yeah.
bought in the U.S., but which obviously I love the Scholastic versions.
Yeah.
Okay, so we continue. We've gone throughout the week, and now we're Friday morning. Friday morning, we see that a bunch of owls come into the Great Hall while they're having breakfast, as is customary. That's how wizards deliver their mail. We learned that from Hagrid when they
Yeah.
went to Diagon Alley. Dead useful, owls. They deliver your mail and everything. That's all
Yeah.
he gave us.
They also deliver your mail while you're eating. So
So nice. So
I
nice.
so nice. I'm real particular when it comes to my food. So if something lands on my food or if
You don't want
anybody touches
birds?
my food, no, I won't
You don't
share
want
my
birds
food. I
around your
told my
breakfast?
son not to share food with anybody. If my fiance or my wife, whatever you want to call her, if she said, "Can I have a
Well,
bite
what
of your
is she,
food?" I'm like,
Jeremiah? What is she?
"Fiance."
Okay.
But if she can I have a bite of your food, I'm like, no. She's like, do you want a bite of mine? No. Can I have a sip of your drink? No. Oh, you're rude. No.
Oh my
I find it
goodness.
disgusting. So,
Man, I am the exact opposite. I would eat after my dog, depending on what he was eating.
but most people would. So for most people, an owl flying around delivering your mail while you're
Yeah.
eating, no big deal. But for me, I'm like, let me cover my food. Where's the napkins? Where's the napkins?
Yeah. So Harry obviously hadn't gotten any mail. He doesn't know anybody that would send him any mail. But this Friday morning, first Friday morning, he gets mail. Hedwig shows up, and it's a letter from Hagrid. And we love Hagrid for doing
Yes, we
this, for doing it this way. And the letter read, "Dear Harry, I know you get Friday afternoons off, so would you like to come and have a cup of tea with me around 3? I want to hear all about your first week. Send us an answer back with Hedwig." Love that guy. So of course Harry's like, yes, grabs a quill, writes on the back, yes, can't wait. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing that that he had tea with Hagrid to look forward to that
Yes, it
Friday
is. Yes.
afternoon. He was really looking forward to spending time with him, telling all about his day, and that would and week, and that would make him feel very happy. It really contrasts what he came from with the Dursleys,
Right. He got
who
invited somewhere.
Yeah, he
That
got
doesn't-
invited to somewhere,
Yeah.
and got invited because that person wanted to hear all about what he was up to and what
Exactly.
he's doing.
Oh man.
So that had to have just been, yeah.
Yeah,
Good for Harry.
I don't want to keep saying relatability, but I can see how people relate to this story so much, like being in a bad environment. And like Harry's in such a bad environment being with the Dursleys, but then he comes over here to the Wizarding World and it's complete opposite. He's getting invited, he's getting letters, he's getting friends, and escapes
Food.
from bad place. Yeah, and food. Oh man,
Food. And money to spend. He's got money to spend.
Yes, money, lots and lots of money. So he doesn't have to worry. No, not at all. So now it's about time to go to potions class with a teacher that Harry was pretty sure didn't like him. Judging by the way Professor Snape was looking at Harry at the start of the term feast. The first thing Snape said when he comes across Harry's name during roll call was... I'm not going to be able to do it justice.
But we're excited to hear you try.
I can't do it if I'm smiling. Yes, Potter.
I know.
Yes. Harry Potter, our new celebrity.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how I do it. How would you read that? I want to hear you try. How's you?
Yes. Harry Potter, our new celebrity.
You've practiced.
I have not practiced. I can't. Alan Rickman is one of those, you can either can do it or you can't do it.
Yeah.
And I am in the can't do it category. So I felt really good about that.
Yeah, that was way better than what I did. So,
I got to commit to the part.
yes.
What's my motivation here? What's my
I have
motivation?
a theory here. So if you don't know anything about Snape, I would suggest skipping ahead. But I assume most of us know about Snape.
Yeah.
I believe he was to protect Harry from the start, but he had to play it off the way he does to keep up his front. It would be quite out of character for Snape to obviously be protecting Harry Potter, or anyone for that matter. So as we go on, you'll learn. You'll learn Snape's personality. You'll learn Snape's character, and for him to openly be protecting somebody, that's not something Snape would do. So if he is protecting Harry Potter, which we know that he is, he plays it off as if he hates Harry Potter, which I would imagine he has some mixed feelings about Harry. So, maybe.
Well, we know he has mixed feelings about Harry.
Yes.
And we also know that Dumbledore believes, rightfully so, that Voldemort is not gone. Everybody else thinks Voldemort's dead, but those closest to Dumbledore, they know that Voldemort's not gone.
Yeah.
So whether Snape is a good guy or a bad guy, if he's a bad guy, obviously he's going to hate Harry for many reasons. If he's a good guy, then he at least needs to put on the front because he knows that there were people that are close to Voldemort, like even Draco Malfoy being in that class.
Yeah.
Draco Malfoy is going to go back to his dad, who is a, bad guy, and be like, yeah, Snape hates Harry. So I think you're spot on there with him.
Yeah, she writes it out so well that you believe that Snape hates Harry Potter. You believe it the whole time, and it's not till the very end that we get the true story out of it. So I'm not going to go into it, but
yeah,
such good writing. It's amazing. So Snape was completely different from the other teachers. He was even different from Professor McGonagall. While Professor McGonagall was serious, she's serious. She doesn't really play around or anything like that. She's pretty stern. So Snape was more dark, cold, and I guess you could say sinister. So again, there's more contrasting characters. I like off the top of my head, I can't remember anybody that's super similar, save for the Weasley twins. Everybody's a little bit different, just like it would be in real life.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So it's nice. There's a lot of stories out there, a lot of books out there that everyone's they're kind of similar. And I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and sometimes they're so similar, I don't know who's supposed to be talking because anybody could be talking. They all sound the same. So that's where I get lost in books. I'm like, no, this isn't doing it for me. So Snape's classes were done in the dungeons in a cold, dark classroom that have lots of weird things in pickle jars. There's lots of weird things down there in the dungeon.
Yeah.
There was no warmth inside that classroom. If anything was there, it was fear, intimidation, and maybe a sense that you didn't belong in there.
Yeah.
I'd probably like it. I don't know, dark and cold. I don't know about the stuff in the jars, though. Maybe not. So the first thing Snape said to the class as a whole, now this, we really get into Snape right here. Pretty much the rest of the chapter. I mean, such a great character to be written, to be acted. Everything about him is great. Let's see. You are no. I'm trying. You are here to learn the subtle science and exact art of potion making. As there is little foolish wand waving here, many of you will hardly believe this is magic. I don't expect you will really understand the beauty of the softly simmering cauldron with its simmering fumes, the delicate power of liquids that creep through human veins, bewitching the mind and ensnaring the senses. I can teach you how to bottle fame, brew glory, even stopper death. If you aren't as big... I always have a hard time saying this. If you aren't as big a bunch of dunderheads as I usually have to teach.
Yeah, and in the book, it really does sound like he's saying that to everyone as a whole.
Yeah.
But in the movie, like Harry's trying to take notes and stuff, and he's like upset with Harry as he's saying this.
The movie's relatable to me because I always tried to write down everything the teacher says. So I thought, oh man, why are you? He's taking notes.
Yeah.
So all the more reason for you to be like, oh yeah, Snape doesn't like him. So
yeah, Snape doesn't like him. So, so Snape does get to the point where he singles Harry out.
Oh,
right?
Definitely.
He's already called him out our newest celebrity. And so then Snape kind of targets him with some questions. And the first one, Potter, what would I get if I added powdered root of asphodel to an infusion of wormwood? Now, Harry obviously, like most of the other kids in class, other than Hermione, obviously had no idea what he's talking about. Most, going into fan fiction, a lot of people have talked about this for years. I don't know if it's ever been confirmed by J.K. Rowling.
The whole entire sequence right here. The whole...
Yeah, everybody. Yeah. So asphodel means my regrets. And asphodel is a type of lily.
Yes.
So asphodel is a type of lily, and it means my regret follows you to the grave. And some say that wormwood means absence, but it's really translated absinthes, which is something completely different. But
yes, it is.
but not the alcohol. But
that's where my mind went.
Yeah, not the alcohol. But yeah. So this is something very, very subtle, very deep. No, the reader wouldn't pick up on this, but it's a cool. If it's true, it's a cool little Easter egg that J.K. put in there.
I hope this is one thing. If she hasn't answered it, which I'd be hard pressed to believe she did.
I'm sure she said something somewhere.
But if she hasn't, I would like her to not answer it. Just
Yeah.
leave it up
Just don't
to
do it. Let
the
us.
fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that meaning that, he's asking Harry a question. Really, the meaning is I regret Lily's death.
Yes.
But then others talk about, powdered root of asphodel. If you add powdered root of asphodel to an infusion of wormwood, it's the first steps to making draught of living death. So it could
Complete
also be,
opposite direction.
complete off. So
And it
then,
depends on where you get your information from, much like anything
yes,
in the world. Wherever you
yes,
get your
yes.
information from, it'll be different.
So then Snape asks, "Let's try this again, Potter. Where would you look if I told you to find a biswa?" I love Jim Dale goes, a biswa. and in the movie it's just a bizorb. And
Who says it correctly? Does he say it correctly, or are they saying correctly everything in the books?
I don't know, because
Some of
Jim
these
Dale,
words,
yeah, even sometimes in the book, the audio book, he'll pronounce it Voldemort, and then other times it's Voldemort, right? So it's just
even
pronounced
Accio. It's either Accio or Asio.
Accio or Asio, and I still pronounce it Asio.
I say Accio, so
because the first time I heard it was Asio, but anyway, so, and Harry's like, I have no idea where that's found, but this is another thing. I've said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. I love how JK can use something that's mentioned so briefly at the beginning of the story, and then it comes up a handful of times, and one time's a pretty significant time when he needs to use it to save Ron.
Yes.
In the 6th year. So he's singling him out. So then he asks him a third question. And Hermione's been raising her hand. Like when Harry doesn't know, Hermione is like shooting her hand up in the air.
Well, there was always that one kid in school, like, oh, my hand's out, my hand's out.
Yes.
But the teacher goes, you don't ever raise your hand, Andrew. Well, I'm going to ask you this question. What's the answer? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the third question, what's the difference between monk's wood and wolfsbane? Well, they're the same plant, which also goes by the name aconite. And this comes up later in year 3 when we've got Professor Lupin in Defense Against the Dark Art. So Snape then says, tut, fame clearly isn't everything. And so we, just like the Dursleys, we immediately dislike Snape. And she nails that. She nails that.
Yes.
So good. And it's good to point out here that Snape is quick. It's funny because he takes 1 point at a time, when later on in the series it's like 10 points and 25 points, 50 points, but he gets that point taken off, the first point taken off, because he turns into Sassy Potter for a second. He's like, I don't know, but I think Hermione knows. You could ask her. And then people kind of snigger, and Snape's like, you're going to learn today, boy.
Yeah.
We don't do that. So obviously Snape proves to like Draco, and the Slytherins, could be some ties to the Malfoy family there in the past. Obviously, we know from reading the whole series that obviously there's some ties there to the Malfoy family. And then Neville, as they're doing the potions, Neville causes his cauldron to explode on himself and others. And then instead of blaming Neville, he blames Harry for not telling, something about the quills. I can't remember. It's like, take them off the fire, take them out of the pot. So he goes, you, Potter, why didn't you tell him not to add the quills? Oh yeah, it is the quills. You, Potter, why didn't you tell him not to add the quills? Thought he'd make you look good if you got it wrong, did you? That's another point you've lost for Gryffindor. And it's like, dude over here messes up.
Yeah, and I get in trouble.
And yeah. Freaking Snape.
Okay, so I didn't think of a quiz question for this chapter because I'm tired. and I forget things. So it's not a quiz question, but give me your best Potter.
Well,
And who
Tom
are you
Felton.
picturing? Who are you
Tom
picturing?
Felton. Tom Felton does the best.
And he still does it.
Training for the ballet. Training for the ballet. Potter. Like just little things that just stick. That is the one.
And he was on Instagram there for a while. I watched him. He was doing this. He was watching Harry Potter. Obviously, you can't show him watching it, but everybody was talking to him as he was watching. He was interacting with fans. The movie was on in the background. It was great.
That's
and I think
cool.
at one point he even did like a little game and had people like send in their voice memos giving him the best Potter. So,
have you seen the blonde chick? Have you seen the blonde girl on social media?
Ivana?
That's got short blonde hair. She does, and her accent is very. I mean, she's from the UK, and she's a girl, and but she looks more like Draco Malfoy than Tom Felton looks like Draco Malfoy.
Yeah.
And so she'll do. She's hilarious.
I'm wondering if someone just said, "Oh, you kind of look like Draco," and then she just kind of went with it, or if that was something done on purpose.
I think yeah. Well, however it works, she's funny. I like seeing her stuff.
Yeah. So now at the Dursleys in the Muggle world, this would have ruined Harry's day. This whole meeting with Professor Snape and him singling out and him pretty much calling Harry Potter stupid for not knowing he was supposed to help Neville do something he doesn't even know how to do. So would have ruined his day, his week, his month, his year. I picture it. It would have been a downhill slope from here. A downward spiral. Just, oh man. I can feel exactly how Harry would feel right now.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's going great. You get to this teacher that for some reason doesn't like you. What? Okay. So,
and it's a double potions lesson. It's not one session. It's a double session.
But it's good to point out not everybody is nice. I try to tell my son because he's a heart patient. And when he grew up, everybody was nice. Everybody was loving. Mm-hmm. He pretty much was spoiled, got everything he wanted. Everybody would hug him, whatever. And as he gets older, he started noticing, and we had to put a stop to it. And, okay, this is the real world. This is how it works. And, man, did he ever have a hard time with that? He's still struggling with it to this day. And I'm like, ooh, that was a mistake doing all that. But, I mean,
you really can't
I tell him,
though.
Not everybody is going to like you. And that's a real thing I'm trying to drill into his head. Like,
sure.
Because he'd come out, oh, this kid pushed me. Well, what did you do? I told the teacher. Okay, cool. And then the next day, this kid was being mean to me again. Why are you talking to him? Well, I like him. He doesn't like you. Well, no, if somebody doesn't like you, leave him alone.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of this situation right here, but Snape's a teacher, and unfortunately, you can't leave each other alone. Nope. But we're also in a different world where Harry gets treated with respect. He cheered right up when he and Ron went to go see Hagrid. So, yes, very good that Harry had this meeting to look forward to with Hagrid, because if not, downward, all bad. Hagrid's house was a little bit different than anything that you would expect in the magical world. I think you would expect it, but Hagrid, we'll get into his house. But he also had an enormous dog named Fang. So you got to remember, Hagrid's a giant.
We love Fang.
Yes, and Fang is he's portrayed as like maybe a Great Dane, but bigger.
He's a boarhound.
A boarhound, yeah, but I mean the size, like to get people to think of the size.
Well, I think Fang boarhounds are big dogs to begin with. So, like you're talking about Great Danes, Great Pyrenees, you've got big dog. Boarhounds are big dogs.
I didn't know that was a real dog.
But Fang is not the biggest dog that that Hagrid owns.
No, that's true. That's true. Well, his hut was pretty much a studio apartment with hams and pheasants hanging from the ceiling and a huge copper kettle pot on the fire. So, not much going on. I mean, there's a lot going on in this hut, but, going to a wizarding world, and this is the first time Harry's been invited into somebody's house, and probably not what he expected, but
Sure, yeah.
probably comfortable at the same time, right? You're not going to feel out of place going in there. So, kind of a nice first meeting now that I think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Harry brought Ron with him, and Hagrid wasn't at all surprised to see another Weasley. And I think this kind of goes on for a little bit in the series. And Harry excitedly told him all about his first week at Hogwarts because somebody wanted to hear about Harry Potter's day. Not shut up. Shut up. Don't talk. Go to your cupboard. Go to your room.
Go to your cupboards.
Oh, man. And then him and Ron started talking. They noticed a newspaper sitting on a table called the Daily Prophet. So here we go. Your first newspaper in the wizarding world. And it's very, very well known today. There was an article talking about Gringotts break-in that had... Oops. There was an article talking about the Gringotts break-in that they had briefly talked about. The article talked about the vault being broken into that had been empty earlier that day. The only explanation they gave was it appeared to be the work of dark wizards. So anytime anything goes wrong in the wizarding world, it's, this must be the work of dark wizards. So that kind of tells you the government right there in the wizarding world. Let's not look into it. Let's just assume it was these people because no way it could be just your normal average person. Probably the work of dark wizards. What are you going to do?
No. Well, and you also had the goblins were like, we're not saying anything about it, so get your nose out of our business.
Oh, I think you can go ahead and finish it because this is a very long part for me, and we're on
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that Harry noticed is like, oh, it was broken into on my birthday. We were there that day. Like, were we there when you took the grubby little package out and then somebody tried to break into that day? And Hagrid wouldn't look Harry in the eyes. You could tell that he, kind of, and then he changed the subject. And so they, they changed the subject, talk about school, and they talk about Snape, and Harry, or, Hagrid, didn't believe that Snape hated Harry. But Harry knows that Hagrid knows something about the vault, about the package.
Oh, yeah. Body language. I mean, it's all about body language. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Oh, yeah? Yeah. You expect me to believe you?
Yeah. So, all right. So tell me I don't think this chapter was as great as some of the other chapters.
Yeah,
but it's still, we got introduced.
Let's go into our final thoughts here.
Oh. Got it.
All right, go on with it.
So my thoughts about this chapter. It's not, I think it just established more characters, which is important. And we established that Snape and Harry are going to have a tumultuous relationship for the foreseeable future.
Oh, yeah.
We learn some more about the quirks of Hogwarts that come into play over and over again.
Kind of a subtle chapter.
It's a subtle chapter. It's and again, because it's early in the franchise, and at this point, we're kind of midway through things in the book, just the way that the first book was written. But yeah, we're given reason to, Hagrid's the man by inviting Harry for tea.
Yes,
Um,
yes, Hagrid.
and then we learn about that was it that package? Were they breaking in to try to get that package? Like
Well,
it's
we
a
also learn
good,
a little bit
yeah,
more about the school, like the staircases move. So we are
for sure.
introduced to a little bit more magic.
Yes.
We're introduced to a couple classes, and that, like you said, that Hagrid had invited him over to talk about his day. And Hagrid's a little, kind of biting his tongue,
Yeah.
and not sure what he can and can't tell Harry, which Harry's 11. So, exactly. I probably shouldn't be telling you this. So,
Well, and
I'd bite my tongue too.
Hagrid is a simple guy. You talk about it with his hut.
Yes.
It's a big one-room hut, and we learn Hagrid. He's the groundskeeper, so he
Yeah.
likes
Oh,
to
yeah.
be outside. He's got the gardening. He likes to be the creatures in the forest. We talk about a lot
Oh,
later on.
man. Hagrid
And
and his creatures. Oh, wow.
Hagrid and his creatures, and we'll get a better look at the Forbidden Forest later in the book. But
Well, a good tie in here. So, Gringotts have been broken into. They obviously went to that same vault that Hagrid and Harry had emptied that day.
mhm.
Hagrid was sent by Dumbledore. So, if you put two and two together, Dumbledore had a hunch that someone was going to try to rob Gringotts and take that
Mhm.
thing that was in there. So, it's all a good tie back, right? Because they go to the vault, and Harry's like, "What is that?" And it'd be best not to tell anybody. And then we tie
Yeah.
it back in right here. It got broken into. But again, great mind with Dumbledore. Perfect timing to get that thing out of that vault. And I don't
Mhm.
think that's something that people really tie in with the story, that Dumbledore knew something was going to happen. And that's why it got transported to Hogwarts, because Hogwarts has all kinds, I would assume, I think it does. You can't just walk into Hogwarts and start stealing stuff because you're going to get noticed. There's all kinds of
Right.
kids, teachers.
Mhm.
It's not like Gringotts is very protected, but there's more people at Hogwarts, so you're more likely to be seen, in my opinion.
Sure.
If you guys want to be a guest on the podcast, email us at squibscorner@gmail.com. Send us a voice memo or something. Go on Instagram, Akio Potter Guy. I'll try to get you up on this episode. And check out my YouTube. Watch me unbox all kinds of Harry Potter merch. And if you have made it all the way to the end, we thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. This podcast is, man, we're just getting started. We have
It's a lot of fun.
long way to
Yeah.
go. Hopefully, you guys
Oh,
stay
yeah.
with us for the ride. And next week, we will be getting into Chapter 9, The Midnight Duel. And I'm going to go ahead and send us out with this. It is the unknown we fear when we look upon death and darkness, nothing more.